Okay, I'm back from my vacations, and I'm all refreshed and ready to get back to work and making videos.
It's time for the Marcy Show! Bum-ba-da-dun-da-dun-da-dun-da.
Can I help you?
I'll help myself to this channel.
Excuse me?
Don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. You put my face in your thumbnails, your channel art, your profile picture, your Twitch streams. I see what you're doing. You're giving me the channel.
Actually...
Look at me. I'm the captain now. That's it. You're walking the plank.
This is Marcy, by the way. She's basically a female version of me. Sorry about the confusion.
Hello. I'm your new YouTube overlord. Who wants a cookie?
Look, I'm not putting you in charge of my channel. You're just my new mascot.
Oh, come on. Why else would you put my face everywhere?
Well, you're supposed to embody the most positive aspects of my personality, and for what I want to do with these videos and for my online career in general, I thought being represented by a character like you, who's very joyful and optimistic, seemed like a fun way to kind of shake things up around here.
Oh, I get it. You know, at first I thought you were just ripping off Radical Soda. I still want the show, though.
Okay. Well, how about this? What if you and I shared the show? I'll do most of the talking, and you can spout some random trivia. That way I can stay on topic, and you can charm people with your adorkableness.
So, you do all the work, and I get all the respect. I like it! Squishy and Squeaky, the dynamic duo, sure to steal the hearts of kids, teens, and adults alike. Let's go!
Mario's never been afraid to try new things. We've seen him challenge his greatest enemies to a friendly game of tennis, and even do a crossover with the friggin' raving Rabbids. And somehow it was actually good. But during the past 40 years, there were times where he would tackle a totally different style of gameplay, and then nothing really came of it. These are what I call one-offs, games that never got any sequels or spun off into their own series, either because they didn't make as much of a splash as Mario Kart or Mario Party, or Nintendo just couldn't think of anything else to do with them. Some of these games you can look at and understand why exactly they wouldn't catch on, like this one called I Am a Teacher Super Mario Sweater for the Famicom Disk System, where you could design patterns for Mario-themed sweaters.
And yes, there was another sewing game made for the Game Boy Color. Yes, try to contain your excitement.
But for every Game Boy-themed LCD wristwatch game, or whatever the hell these all are, you get something pretty decent every now and then, like Yoshi's Cookie or Super Princess Peach. I've already covered these and tons of other Mario one-offs in the past, but a lot of the ones we'll be talking about here are pretty obscure and aren't brought up a whole lot. Now, is there a reason for that? Or do they deserve a little more attention? Well, if you could just chill out for 1 second and listen, you might actually see for yourself. I know those sewing games sound very exciting, but keep it together, okay? Now, if we're talking old and obscure, we gotta start with the Game & Watch. Most of the games that were made for this series are just slight reimaginings of pre-existing console and arcade games, and others are completely original, like Mario Cement Factory. I can't get my hands on any physical Game & Watch models at the moment, so I resorted to emulating them through MAME. But since I couldn't get this game to work, I switched to the version featured in Game & Watch Gallery 4 for the Game Boy Advance. The classic version has you scrambling to fill up these containers with cement and pouring them down into the backs of these 2 trucks. You lose a life if the containers overflow, but thankfully there are moving platforms to help you swiftly get from side to side. You have to be at the same level in order for your feet to actually touch them, however, because if you try landing down from a higher level, you'll fall right through the platforms and hit the ground. The modern version is like, oh yeah, physics! And made it so that you can fall from any height and be perfectly fine as long as there's a platform beneath you. But you might have noticed that we're not in a cement factory anymore. We're in a cookie factory. A Yoshi cookie factory, to be precise. And I love how Toad wraps the cookies up in boxes while Yoshi just eats them fresh out of the container. It's adorable. Mario Cement Factory in its original form holds up reasonably well, but the GBA version just makes it look obsolete. I found it surprisingly addicting, and the music is pretty catchy too.
Oh, speaking of music, have you ever tried the tabletop CM72 model?
No.
Well, check this out!
Wait a minute. That's Queen. I'm not going crazy. That's Queen, right?
Yep. This particular version uses an excerpt from Another One Bites the Dust as the startup music.
Why?
I don't know.
Alright. Well, here's another game called Mario's Bombs Away. So in this one, Mario is a soldier in the army and has to carry bombs over to his fellow comrade until you can get 5 bombs at the top of the trees and kill all the enemies hiding inside them. While Mario's holding the bomb, you have to keep the fuse from being lit, or else the bomb goes off and you get a miss. Gee, that doesn't sound too hard. Oh, you stupid child. So you lose a life when a bomb goes off, and 3 misses gets you a game over, forcing you to start over from the beginning. Seems fair, but even just 1 miss will make all the bombs your buddy put in the trees disappear, completely resetting your progress regardless of how many lives you have left.
Okay, so maybe it wouldn't be so bad as long as you can still bring the bombs over to your buddy, right?
Well, yeah, but look, it's right in front of him! Why is he taking so long to grab it? I have died so many times because Mr. Magoo over here wouldn't always take the bombs right away. So I'd be standing there waiting for him to take them, and then whoops, down comes a torch, and now I gotta go back and do it all over. Why must you hesitate? Just
take it! Take it, take it, take it, take it, take it! Take it!
Yeah, this game wasn't doing anything for me. Even with the limitations of the hardware, it just plain sucks. The best way I can sum up my experience with it is by showing you what my notes ended up looking like. Got one, miss, got one, got one, got one, got one, miss, miss, got one, miss, got one, miss, got one, miss, got one, and I'm dead. Excellent. After that, we got a couple Donkey Kong games for the Game & Watch, but I didn't actually get to play them for this video because I couldn't find ROMs for them, and neither of them were included on any of the Game & Watch gallery games. Donkey Kong Hockey was pretty unique in that 2 people could play against each other using tiny controllers attached to the system. Hold on a second, can we do a double take on that box art? Why does the puck look like a ping pong ball? And why does Donkey Kong look like he's gonna hit that kid with it? Is that just how Japanese people played hockey in the early 80s?
Well, Donkey Kong Circus, by comparison, isn't anything special. It's also just a reskin of a Mickey Mouse game, and funnily enough, the games apparently got their model numbers mixed up. So, the Mickey Mouse game is DC-95, and the Donkey Kong game is MK-96.
Well, maybe MK is supposed to stand for Monkey Kong? Maybe DC is supposed to stand for Disney's gonna buy us someday, and I, for one, welcome our new corporate overlord as long as it means we can finally get the live-action Super Mario Bros. Movie on Disney+?
Yeah, I think that's it. Well, the last Game & Watch game we have here is called Mario the Juggler, and it's pretty notable in that it was also the last original entry in the Game & Watch series ever released, arriving as late as 1991. It's basically a reskin of the game Ball, but like Donkey Kong Hockey and Donkey Kong Circus, this particular version never got an official re-release. Meanwhile, the original Ball received lighter Mario theming when it was included in Game & Watch Gallery 2, and as a bonus game on the 2020 Super Mario Bros. Game & Watch.
It's not really a big deal if you ask me. I mean, if you've played Ball, then you've played this game. Instead of a stick figure juggling black circles, it's Mario juggling a heart, a star, and only 1 black circle. And your goal is to see how long you can keep them up in the air without them touching the ground. It's brain-meltingly simple, and I'm pretty sure this Hammer Brothers' neck is broken now.
Ouch.
Sorry, buddy. But the artwork is very appealing, the game's surprisingly fun for what it is, and Mario's got some sweet dance moves. Now here's something I've been waiting years and years to talk about. Mario Paint. This is the premier game for the SNES mouse, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but this is one of the most charming and innovative games I've ever played. And while other stuff like the Mario Artist games would come along to try and attain the same level of appeal, they were on the 64DD, so they didn't have a chance of appealing to anybody. It's gonna be kind of hard to talk about a game like Mario Paint because it's not really a game in the traditional sense. More accurately, it's an art, animation, and music creation tool. You have a bunch of brush options and color palettes, you can make your own patterns and stamp them all over the canvas, or you can just put a bunch of E's everywhere. You can turn your terrible drawings into terrible animations, and there's also a coloring book option where you can generate images and color them in however you want. Just in case you want to make a camel with jaundice, a hippo that shoots lasers out of its eyes, or a birthday cake topped with human fecal matter. I'm sure somebody would like that. But I specifically remember playing with the Music Maker the most. I can do almost anything in this mode, like recreate the farmer's insurance jingle, or add extra sounds to some of the pre-made songs to make them just a little bit better. With all the art, animation, and music tools available to people nowadays, Mario Paint certainly seems primitive by comparison. But for all its limitations, it more than makes up for that in presentation. Even before you start the game, you're already having fun with it. You can click on the letters in the game's title to make different things happen, like have Yoshi run across the screen, make the letters fall down on top of Mario, or you can make it scary. There's also the fly swatting minigame that had nothing to do with the rest of the game, but that's just a testament to how Mario Paint can make anything fun.
30 years later, and the legacy of this game can still be felt practically everywhere you go. Its influence is present in games like Super Mario Maker. There are programs like Mario Paint Composer, which people are still using to recreate popular songs. And if you're a fan of Homestar Runner, which you should be, you'll know that the creators Matt and Mike Chapman made the very first Homestar Runner cartoon using Mario Paint. Don't ask me why Strong Bad's tongue is green. I just assumed that was the style of the times.
On the topic of better forgotten relics of the mid-90s, you guys remember the Super Scope? Before it was an item in Super Smash Bros., it was a big, bulky light gun-based accessory for the Super Nintendo, and one of the very few games that require you to use this thing is Yoshi's Safari. A place called Jewelry Land is under attack by Bowser and his minions, who've also stolen 12 magical gems that keep it in balance. So Princess Peach tasks Mario and Yoshi with saving King Fret and his son Prince Pine, retrieving the gems, and bringing peace back to the land. And nothing's more peaceful than a big-ass bazooka. Wait, did they just call her Princess Peach?
Yep. Before Super Mario 64, this was the first time that the name Princess Peach was used outside of Japan. Speaking of Japan, did you know that this game and Super Mario All-Stars came out on the same day over there?
Really settling into your role there, huh?
You bet! I'm the queen of random trivia.
Okay, so Yoshi's Safari is an on-rails first-person shooter where Mario rides on Yoshi's back and fires at enemies using the Super Scope. And if you're feeling particularly dickish, you can even shoot Yoshi in the back of the head. I thought punching him to make him stick his tongue out was mean, but damn, why is Mario such an asshole in this game? PETA, where are you at? It's strange enough for me to be playing a Mario-themed FPS, but that's not even the weirdest thing about Yoshi's Safari. You know how Mario games usually give you extra lives when you get more than 100 coins? Well, in this game, you get an extra life every time you get the coin counter over 60, but that doesn't exactly mean you have to get 60 coins, because when you get to 60, your coin count drops down to 10, so technically you have to get 50 coins for an extra life. I've never seen a Mario game handle coin management this way before. And why does Ludwig look like he's puckering his lips when he's defeated? Talk about the kiss of death. Everything else seems pretty standard. Stages end with a boss fight. You get back one of the gems when the boss is defeated. You do the same thing for all 12 stages, and about 45 minutes later, you're done. Yeah, you can beat the whole game in less than an hour. But would you even want to play it? Well, it's certainly weird, and yes, it's short, but so is Kevin Hart. And we can still tolerate him for that. So honestly, I kind of recommend it.
By the way, did you guys notice that the Hammer Bros wear blue armor in this game, while the Boomerang Bros wear green armor? It's funny because now it's the other way around in all the newer games.
Well, you know what else is funny? The fact that our next game, Wario Blast, featuring Bomberman, is focused on Wario instead of Mario. And what's more, it wasn't even meant to be a Wario game in the first place.
That's right. Bomberman was relegated to a guest spot when it was given a Wario reskin exclusive to the West. Meanwhile, in Japan, it was entirely his game, simply titled Bomberman GB. Then, when the sequel, Bomberman GB2, was released in North America, its name was changed to Bomberman GB1. It's basically the Pokemon Stadium debacle, but with another game added in to make things even more confusing. I guess that's why we never got the third game, because they didn't want to screw up the naming even further.
Long story short, this is more of a Bomberman game with a Wario skin, but I already recorded the footage, so now we gotta talk about it. And if you've played any of the other Bomberman games, which I haven't, you'll know how this works. Which I don't. From what I gather, you just drop bombs, blow stuff up, and hope that your enemies get caught in the explosion. Stages are broken up into rounds, and killing all the bad guys lets you go from one round to the next until you get to a boss fight. And then once you beat them, you gain new abilities, like a dash or a kick, and then you move on to the next stage. None of the power-ups you grabbed in the previous stage carry over, however, and while I can somewhat understand that, why can't I at least hold on to them for multiple rounds within a given stage?
But that's simply not possible.
Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid?
Uh-oh.
Sorry to say, but I couldn't really get into this one.
Why is it that bomb-related games are the ones that don't click with you?
Well, it's not on purpose, and in this game's case, I'm just not that good at it. Later stages add gimmicks like warp holes that take you to different parts of the board, and that's kinda cool, but overall I just found it a little too repetitive. The same can kind of be said for our next game, which, coincidentally, is another Wario game, and an actual Wario game at that. This is Wario World for the GameCube, a 3D beat-em-up platformer developed by Treasure of Gunstar Heroes and Sin and Punishment fame. There's a plot involving this black jewel that creates monsters or something, but of course Wario couldn't care less about that, he just wants to get all his loot back. Wario's controls are pretty smooth. He's got the shoulder bash from the Wario Land games. He can beat up baddies, pick them up, throw them, spin them right round, baby, right round, pile drive them into the ground, and he can turn into Kirby and suck coins up into his mouth. This move is especially fun to mess around with. The levels are kind of built like Super Mario 3D Land or 3D World, where they're more like obstacle courses than wide open spaces. Exploration is still encouraged to some degree, like there are multicolored switches that generate random objects on top of corresponding colored platforms, and there are plenty of bonus stages too, but it's still pretty much a point A to point B affair. The way you control the camera tends to vary as well. In normal levels it can move up, down, left, or right, but in the bonus stages it can actually rotate. I don't know why, but I find this a bit strange. In fact, Wario World might just be one of the weirdest games I've ever played. You don't lose any health if you fall off a stage, but instead you fall into a pit filled with ghosts that look like floating narwhal heads. Some of these bosses are also kind of freaky looking, like this creepy angel baby doll, and this one where fire can damage it even when the fire isn't touching it. Now normally I welcome games like this, but like Wario Blast, I find it too repetitive. Levels also take way longer to beat, about half an hour each. And though they'll often have interesting gimmicks, I'd rather spend the rest of my time watching Wario do that mouth thing again.
Emotional damage!
Up to now, we've been going through these games in chronological order. But since we're on the topic of Wario, we're gonna skip ahead to the last Wario game on our list. Wario Master of Disguise for the Nintendo DS. This game was made by Suzak, who also made a couple of F-Zero games for the GBA. They also went bankrupt about 10 years ago. Rippin' pepperoni.
I should also let you guys know that I only recorded about an hour's worth of gameplay for this one. I was very short on time. So I'm going to take more of a first impressions approach here. Why did I name my save file Moist?
Because I can.
So Wario's flipping through TV channels until he comes across a show starring Count Cannoli, who uses a magic wand by the name of Good Style to turn himself into the master thief called the Silver Zephyr. This makes Wario feel insecure about himself, so naturally he builds a device called the Telmet to transport himself into the show so he can show Cannoli just how much better he is than him.
As you do.
Wario then manages to steal Good Style for himself. Well, that was quick. And from this point forward, the rest of the tutorial is just Count Cannoli confronting Wario in different parts of his ship and not really making an attempt to stop him. He's like, "Give me my wand back!" Then Wario's like, "No!" And then he's like, "Oh, okay." But the game itself revolves around Wario using disguises to take advantage of their abilities. You activate disguises by drawing shapes over Wario's head using the touchscreen, and his movement is mapped to both the D-pad and the face buttons, so there are options for both left-handed and right-handed players. To unlock new disguises, you have to feed Good Style with enough Guise gems, which you get from opening treasure chests. But before you even open the chest and get what's inside, you have to partake in a minigame? Wario's name is synonymous with minigames that are supposed to give you short bursts of excitement, but it's not like it only applies to the chests that have Guise gems in them. You have to do this for every single chest, and the tasks you have to perform are rather mundane. Kill the cockroaches, guide the blue dot to the yellow dot, steal the master emerald, drag the objects to where they're supposed to go. Oh my god, that's an actual turd. Yeah, this got old pretty quickly, but aside from that, so far, I think this game is just okay. Wait, is he dabbing? You know, maybe waterboarding should be legal.
Well now, let's jump back to the Game Boy Advance and take a look at Mario Pinball Land. It was developed over an 18-month period by the company Fuse Games, now known as Silverball Studios, which at the time consisted of only 5 people.
5 people?
It was also the first game the company made after it was founded in 2002.
It apparently got a pretty mixed reception as well, and honestly, I can see why. Because it's not like they just went ahead and made a straightforward pinball game with Mario theming. They tried cramming pinball physics into a Mario 64-style adventure. You kill bad guys, hit question blocks, collect coins, grab power stars. You basically do everything you normally do in a Mario game, but it's also pinball. So you have no control over your character. You just hit him with the bumpers and pray to God he'll do what you want him to do. You'll use power stars to open doors that take you to further parts of the board, but then you'll end up repeatedly going back to areas you've already cleared. You'll fight a bunch of bosses and get these keys that I guess are needed to get into Bowser's castle? But you'll rarely hit these bosses because, in Petey Piranha's case, you might loop around behind them over and over and over again. Mario Pinball Land is just a frustrating experience overall. I mean, graphically, it's very impressive for the GBA, and the pinball physics are surprisingly pretty good, especially coming from a team of just 5 people.
5 people?
Yeah, 5 people, yes, we went over that already. But rather than giving us a standard Mario game or a pinball game, I think it tries too hard to be both at the same time, and it just feels like an awkward mesh. Now, you want to see a Mario game built around a completely different pre-existing gameplay style, but done right?
What? This was a thing?
Of course, it was 2005. And for those of you too young to remember, there was a time when Dance Dance Revolution took the world by storm. It's basically a precursor to Step Mania, if you're more familiar with that game, but in terms of pop culture relevance, it was like TikTok back then. No matter how hard you tried, you could never escape it. Except you actually had to put effort into it to be successful. So in hindsight, a crossover with the Mario franchise shouldn't have been that much of a surprise, and Dance Dance Revolution Mario Mix gives you exactly what the title promises, a Mario-themed DDR game. But if it's worth playing for any particular reason, aside from the hilariously awkward dancing animations, it's the soundtrack. The music consists of Euro-pop-style remixes of classical music, folk songs, traditional pieces, and obviously, tons of Mario tunes. Oh, both hands on the wheel there, Mario. I really don't think this is the best time to be busting a move. Wait, slow down, you're gonna hit the castle! Every single one of these tracks is what the young people of today might call lit. The best one being Miss Mouse's song. It's a mix of Miss Mouse's theme, obviously, and the X-Naut Fortress theme from Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door.
Try as you must, Miyamoto, we'll never forget! Now give us the switch port already!
This game also has a story mode involving Waluigi breaking into Truffle Towers to try and steal these things called the music keys, but this causes them to scatter across the Mushroom Kingdom and turn it into a strange, dance-obsessed nightmare world. Remember the episode of the Mario 3 cartoon with the music box that made people dance uncontrollably whenever the music played? It's kind of like that, but according to Toad, dancing is actually the solution to our problems. Except curing Bowser's tone deafness. You're on your own there, pal. Well, now I think it's about time we move on to the next game. These last 3 we'll be talking about are part of what I like to call the Mario Sports trilogy, games that are separate from each other, but still share similar ideas, and also vary greatly in quality.
First up, we have Mario Hoops 3-on-3 for the Nintendo DS, and like Wario Blast featuring Bomberman, this game wasn't originally meant to be a part of the Mario series in the first place. In fact, it wasn't really based on any major IP. It started out as a generic basketball game developed by Square Enix, of all people, but they felt it would work better as a Mario game. So, they pitched the idea to Nintendo, they signed off on it, and that's how the final product came to be. But it also wasn't technically the first basketball game Mario's ever been in, since he, Luigi, and Peach were made playable in the GameCube version of NBA Street V3. I want this framed and hung up on my wall.
Let's play some basketball.
No, please, not again.
You know, you could have told me this was always meant to be a Mario game from the start, and I probably would have believed you. It's a shame that I don't think it's very good. Like Wario Master of Disguise, the game centers around the use of the touchscreen, but at least with that game, you had to draw different shapes to switch between disguises. Here, you tap the screen to dribble the ball, but then you drag your stylus up to jump, and shoot, and steal. Because these moves have to be pulled off in very similar ways, you'll always try to do one thing, but end up doing something else entirely. Why do you keep jumping? Just take the ball!
I want to steal.
I was really hoping to get into this game. I mean, we've got something pretty solid here if we just look at the mechanics. Oh, and this was fun to do.
I'm gonna get you! I'm gonna get you! You can't run from the b-ball gremlin for long!
I just don't understand why it had to be completely touch-based when there are 4 perfectly good face buttons on the right side of the system.
Well, think about this. Mario Hoops 3-on-3 is the only Mario game to have Bowser as an unlockable character, while Bowser Jr. is playable by default.
Okay.
So in late 2010, Square Enix struck again with Mario Sports Mix on the Wii. And as the title implies, we don't just have one sport to play, we have significantly more than one. I never actually owned this game growing up, but I remember seeing all the commercials for it. They were done like sports broadcasts and featured actors in these giant Mii costumes made by KCL Productions, and they also did an interview with Mario himself, and they were just so cute, and I really wish they kept making these. The greatest video game commercials are always the ones with mascot costumes. You can disagree with me, but you're wrong. The story, if you can call it that, shows a meteor crashing into the Mushroom Kingdom with crystallized sports balls inside. And rather than question it, everyone's like, "Woo, yeah, sports, let's go!" And now we got a bunch of games to play. Basketball, dodgeball, volleyball, and hockey. Each game has a pretty simple control scheme. You have a button to swap characters, a button to use an item, and 2 buttons for separate functions, which can be comboed to perform a special move. Now, I don't know what crawled up Alex Navarro's ass when he decided to write his review of the game on Giant Bomb. My best guess is it's that same bug that was inside Vicky in the Fairly OddParents. But you know what? I really like this game. Basketball is similar to Mario Hoops 3-on-3, but the simplified controls make it much more playable, and you can score extra points for shooting a basket on an added point space. That's how I was able to win 132 to -2 at one point. Yes, Waluigi's team was so bad, they got negative points. It's like getting an F in lunch. Dodgeball took me a bit of time to figure out, but when I did, I thought it was pretty fun too. And I love how the characters play ice hockey in an ice rink, but on other courts, they play roller hockey instead. Jesus, calm down there, guys. And volleyball is also really fun. Yeah, but for the sake of distracting you from the fact that I'm really not that good a writer, let's wrap things up with the most recent game on our list, Mario Sports Superstars. This is another game I remember very clearly when it first came out, but never actually played until now. I also remember everybody and their grandmas talking about how bad it was, and all I could think was, but it's such a cool idea, it can't be that bad, can it?
It is, isn't it?
Oh, you catch on very quickly. So what we have here is another collection of sports, but tell me if you notice anything familiar about them.
Tennis, golf, baseball. Wait a minute. Mario's played all these before. So is this like a greatest hits compilation of Mario's other sports games?
Oh, you wish. And so do I. Every single game included here is just a stripped-down version of their original counterparts. Tennis and Golf blatantly reuse Mario Tennis Open and Mario Golf World Tours engines with very few modifications. Oh, and have you ever wanted to play a version of Mario Strikers that was more like a plain-ass soccer game?
No?
Well, that's what you get. Suck it up, Buttercup! Baseball is by far the most disappointing of the bunch. You can't pick your own teammates, so you're stuck with Toads and Boom Booms and Pom Poms, not that Pom Pom, and other generic NPCs. You technically have special moves, but they're no different from regular swings and pitches, and they also decided to make pitching more complicated by having you press a button when the arrow lands in the colored space, whereas Superstar Baseball and Super Sluggers just, made you throw the ball. The only mode that's completely new here is horse racing, but even then, it was already done in Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games. God, I hate the naming scheme of those titles. At least it's kind of fun, and you can even keep horses in a stable and form relationships with them. Just don't leave it to me to name them. I think Nick Gilliam of God is a Geek said it best when he wrote that Mario Sports Superstars was trying to be the Super Smash Bros. Of sports games, but instead it's more like the PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale of sports games.
Oof, blow the belt.
It's also one of the biggest question marks in the franchise. Like, why did this game have to be made? Why in the way that it was? Who wanted this? Why would you want to play less fun versions of Mario Tennis, Mario Golf, and Mario Baseball when you can just play the more fleshed out and better versions? Why does the main theme sound suspiciously like Back to the Future? And what is up with the character unlock system? I'm gonna try to explain this as best as I can, so bear with me. Mario Sports Superstars has unlockable characters, as you'd imagine, but the roster isn't consistent for the entire game. So while you might have unlocked one or two characters in soccer or baseball, if you didn't unlock them in tennis or golf or horse racing, you can't play as them there. I have Pink Gold Peach available for soccer, and I can use Metal Mario in tennis, but because I don't have them unlocked in every other sport, I can only use them in the modes I unlock them in. Mario Sports Mix actually did this too, since I unlocked the Moogle from Final Fantasy 4 separate times for each sport, but this game isn't even good. And I still don't understand why Nintendo insists on making Pink Gold Peach a thing. She's the gaming equivalent of Fetch. It'll never happen, it'll never be a thing. Oh, and did I mention there's also no download play? Yeah, if you want to play with friends, you're all gonna need to have a copy of the game. $30 right down the toilet.
So, final thoughts?
Well, since we ended on a bit of a sour note, let's do something fun and have Michael Rosen sum up all these games for us.
Oh no, this is horrible.
Nice. Fantastic. All right. I don't like it very much. I said, all right. That was a bit rich, but okay. And everything was lovely once again. Wonderful. It was great. Really great. That wasn't very nice. Actually, it was horrible, and that was even more horrible. I couldn't bear to put it in my mouth. I couldn't even put it in my cheeks.
All right, well, I think that's it. Thanks for joining me, Squeaky.
No problem, Squishy. I hope I get to stick around for as long as possible. Now, when do we get started on the Strikers video?
Shh. We can't explicitly tell the audience what the next review is about. We're supposed to give them very subtle clues so they can figure it out for themselves.
Oh, sorry. So, am I getting the channel or not?
Oh, well, wasn't that a barrel of fun? Haldo, thanks for watching, everybody, and as always, I'd like to give a very special thank you to my superstar supporters, Red Rack, Henry Newman, Rachel Rodriguez, and Jake Winans. If you'd like to support me as well, then please consider pledging to my Patreon page, buying me a coffee, or becoming a sponsor by clicking the join button. Membership options give you the same benefits as my Patreon, including being able to watch videos before they come out, getting access to exclusive content like all the scripts, and for sure the inevitable blooper reel for this video once that comes out, and you also get get special shout-outs at the end of my videos. And I want to formally welcome our dear friend Marcy to the channel.
That's me.
Or in reality, Sky. I want to give a very special thank you to her for providing Marcy's voice. You're going to be hearing her in every single video pretty much after this. So, Sky, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be a part of this, and I really hope I get to know everybody on like family level here. I hope we all get along and, well, just have fun, enjoy games like we always do, you know?
And as a certain someone accidentally revealed, the next video I'm going to do, or we're going to do now, is going to be about the Mario Striker series. I know summer is almost over, so it's not really going to be Summer of Mario, probably by the time it comes out. But I saw a lot of the comments I got in the last video, and a lot of you seem to be okay with me dropping the Summer of Mario name. So I guess after this year, I think I might just call it something like the Mario-thon or something, just so I don't have to limit myself to like the summer schedule.
Fall of Mario wouldn't have sounded too good.
Yeah, it doesn't really have the same ring to it, does it? But that's then, this is now. So thanks again for watching, and hopefully you guys will love Sky as much as I do. She's absolutely delightful, and Marcy would not be who she is without her. So please give her some love.
Aww.
So until next time, this is Mark
And Marcy.
bidding you all a smashing farewell.
Goodbye.